And you're fine. You're so fine. What's going on, YouTube? Hayden Crabtree here at my most recent self-storage acquisition. So today I want to bring you with me and I want to talk to you about how I plan to make $6 million off of this property right here in a 3-phase project. You're going to get to see what I bought. You're going to get to see phase 2, what I'm building. You're going to get to see my thoughts on phase 3 of where the real upside of this project is. As you guys can see, we're here in the parking lot. This is a huge parking lot for a self-storage facility because, well, this isn't just a self-storage facility. You see behind me that I have a 36,000 square foot building that is actually no self-storage in it whatsoever. We can walk over here and I'll talk to you about each of these tenants. But the basics of this property is it's a 4.23 acre property in a very wealthy lake community in Georgia. And this property had a lot of potential for development. I bought it for $2.25 million. My phase 1 construction, which we'll get into the back, brought that total project cost to $3.5 million. And I'm financing this with an SBA loan, 15% down. So I'm putting about $500,000 into this $3.5 million project. And we'll start over here on this side. On this side, we have a cabinet shop. Really, it's like a woodworking center. These guys are building cabinets for luxury homes on this side. And this tenant is renting pretty much from this door that you see here all the way over, all the way to the back of the building. They're just building cabinets inside of that, okay? Now, the next tenant over here that we have is a gym. Okay, so I don't own the gym. I have nothing to do with the gym other than they rent it here. Although it's always been a dream of mine to own a gym. I don't own this gym, but maybe one day I will. But this gym right here, they occupy about the same amount of space as the cabinet shop does. Each of these are about 10,000 square feet that each of these guys occupy. That's pretty much from about where this white car is parked over to that cabinet shop door is all of the gym space. And they take care of all their own utilities, everything. They don't pay property taxes. They don't pay the building insurance, but they just pay rent every single month for that space. They own all of the equipment, the gym equipment inside of there. I don't own any of that. The next space we have, which is a little bit, what I'll say is inconspicuous, they don't have any sort of signage or anything like that, is the dance studio. How are you? You doing good? You're the star. So we got the dance studio there where they have lessons for like young kids. And it's actually funny, whenever I was looking at buying this property, I was telling my banker, my potential banker, about the property. And you're fine. You're so fine. It's okay. We're about to move over here. We're about to move over here. It's so funny that that whenever I was first doing this project, the banker, I said, hey, do you know where, they've got the gym, the cabinet shop, the dance studio, they have all of that stuff going on. He says, I know exactly what you're talking about. I go there every day to drop my daughter off at the dance studio. So my banker was like already super familiar. I was like, it's always packed. He's like, I know, the parking lot is always packed. And the last suite that we have here inside of this retail building is this suite right here, which is, there's no tenant in there per se. It's a month-to-month lease. It's a person who is actually renting this out as a storage unit. It's a huge space down here. They're paying like $700 a month, just like any storage tenant would. And my goal is to convert this to self-storage. Kind of feel like I'm getting ripped off between you and me by all of these tenants. So for example, this building, 36,000 square feet, generates, it gets $10,000 or $11,000 a month. That comes out to about $3 per square foot per year, if my math serves me correctly. And to tell you about the storage units we're gonna go see, they generate $15 per square foot per year. So if I convert this to self-storage, it's gonna generate 5 times the amount of income. Now, the downside is that I'd have to sprinkle this building currently, and to go along with that is there's not enough water flow from the city main that comes in, so I'd have to put this huge water tank in, and the tank alone is like $100,000. What is that? Good Lord. Let me show you as well this other building that the prior owners built alongside with the storage units in the back that I'll show you here in just a second. But this building is brand new. It's only 2 years old. Okay, this building right here that I'm showing you is it actually used to be an old Ace Hardware. So this building has been here a really long time. We'll get over here and show you what I call is the office duplex, because it's a little office space with two different sides. Let me show you inside what we're about to rent out. I don't really like renting office spaces. I don't really like owning retail because one tenant controls so much of your income. But since I already have the product, then I'll show you guys around. So there we go. I got to get my lights to turn on. So it's just a pretty basic, I think it's 700 square feet, something like that, pretty small. Somebody will have like a little open area, and then they'll have one little office space. They'll have two little office space, and then they'll have a bathroom and kind of a back utility room here. There we go. So pretty basic little office space. This is almost an exact mirror of what I've got on the other side, which is my self-storage office. So let me go and let me show you the self-storage office here and what that looks like. So we're renting this space out for $700 a month in about 10 days. All right, so the next space we have is my actual self-storage office, which the prior owners that I bought this from had a guy who sat right here every single day to take care of 68 storage units in the back, right? Not a great use of labor. One guy, full-time payroll, was taking care of like $8,000 a month of storage income. Not a great use at all of labor or efficiency. So right now I have this office, but I don't have anybody who comes in here. That guy actually retired, said he didn't want to work anymore. And I just run this storage facility in the back all off of the call center, which has significantly reduced the amount of payroll that I spend in this. So before we go and look at the storage units, I want to point out one other interesting thing about this property and the way that I bought it. And that's the billboard, right? So the billboard came with the property. Now, let me tell you something that's super unfortunate. The prior owners, the guys who bought the Ace Hardware, built this office building, built the storage units in back, they bought this property with the billboard as well. They did not put the billboard up, okay? But what they decided to do was to sell the billboard to a billboard company, who now manages it. They sold the billboard for $15,000. Which is extremely cheap. They sold it for $15,000 and 20% of the monthly rent. So whenever I bought the property, I had no say in that. They had already sold that billboard and cut that deal. So when I bought the property, I bought the 20% rights to the revenue of that billboard. And so for example, that billboard rents for, I wanna say I get paid like $120 a month for that billboard being on the property, and I don't own it. That billboard's probably worth like 100 grand or something like that, and they sold it for $15,000. Just a bad deal that they cut. But it's always super interesting in this property in particular because there's so many different sources of revenue, right? You got office space, you got storage units, you have billboards. They used to run U-Haul off of here. Because I'm unmanned, I don't run U-Haul off of here. But anyways, let's go talk about the main reason that I bought this project, and let's look at what I call phase. Phase one is everything that's here. We're building phase two now. So let's go do this and talk about some of the numbers. Okay. So, of course, we got our automated gate here, which I think is a must at almost every single storage property. This one has a keypad entry, and almost all of mine work this way, have a keypad entry, and this one has a motion sensor exit. Some of mine have floor plates on the ground where they're like metal detecting or pressure sensing. When you drive on it, and it'll actually open up for you. Some storage facilities will have a keypad exit. I don't have a keypad exit, but some of them will. Now, one thing I want you to see, and maybe we can move over here and kind of get a better shot of this, right, is look how tall this building is. And I'm 6'1", 6'2". This building is huge. That's the second story up there. That is currently all vacant. This right here is where that tenant is paying $700 a month just as a storage tenant for a huge space. This building is monster. That upper floor, I could convert all to storage. And probably what I would do is I would put a lift system, like a freight lift, not necessarily a actual elevator, but a freight lift, so that to get to the second story, you could come out here, load your stuff up as a storage tenant, take a freight lift up, and easily move your stuff to the second floor. So that's my desire of what I would do, okay? Now, next up, as you can see here in the back, we've got some construction going on, and this is phase 2 of the project. So I bought this with, I think, 68 storage units, about 8,600 square feet. It has one of these buildings is non-climate controlled. The other 3 buildings are climate controlled, and the facility is pretty much full. I mean, we get a lot of demand for people to rent out these storage units, which is why it is that I wanted to build more of these. So this first building right here is the only non-climate controlled, and then the other 3 buildings, you can see the air conditioners sitting on the outside. That's the climate controlled nature of that storage building. But we're gonna take this facility and we're adding 16,575 square feet, and that is costing me about $1.3 million as a total project. This property right now, before that expansion, brings in $20,000 a month. It cost me about $7,000 to $8,000 a month to run this facility between insurance, payroll, taxes, software, all of those things. Then by the time I pay the interest on my loan, right now I make no money. I probably actually lose $2,000 to $3,000 a month right now on this property because I've borrowed the money. Like, if you can look at this wall right here. Just turn the camera and look at this wall. That wall right there, that's gonna be a retaining pond, okay? That retaining pond, when it rains, is gonna hold all the water that flows to the bottom of this property, because I've got this asphalt here. Water can't go through asphalt. It's gonna flow down there. That pond alone cost me $60,000. I borrowed money to pay for that I'm paying interest on, but as you can see, I don't have any additional storage units yet generating additional revenue. So right now, I'm losing money. And this is why development and even expansions like this really aren't a play for somebody who's just trying to get into, you know, attaining financial freedom and generating cash flow, because you're not gonna make anything, right? There's gonna be a period where I don't make anything on this deal, and that is right now. But the upside in that is once this is done, once I've built out this 16,575 square feet, this is going to generate about $20,000 a month of additional revenue. So the retail building generates about $10,000 a month right now. These storage units, they generate about $10,000 a month right now, $20,000 a month, and then I'm gonna have, through building these additional storage units, another $20,000 a month. So that's gonna take this property to $40,000 a month, okay? Once my loan, my construction loan is done, it's gonna cost me, between my debt service and all my expenses, about $30,000 a month to actually to run this place, total. So I've got to rent up all the additional units, and I will make $10,000 additional. I will cash flow $10,000 on this project. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but think about this. I put $500,000 into this property to generate $120,000 a year. What is 120,000 divided by 500,000? It's like a 22% cash on cash. Pretty awesome returns. And in addition to that, I'll be all in at $3.5 million on this, and this will be worth $4.5 to $5 million. So, while it may not sound like a lot of money for the risk that I'm taking on to lose the money right now, I could turn $500,000 into multiple millions of dollars and generate a 6-figure income just off of this property alone, okay? So let's just look here and kind of talk. I want to show you guys a couple of points. Point number 1 is I need to get my landscaper to bring out some Roundup, okay? I hate weeds being there. It just drives me nuts. But what I wanted to show you here is this wall, okay? And so this lot, and the way I bought it, is what we call the topography, is it slopes down. The north side here is 10 feet higher than the bottom side here. So when you're building storage units, if you can build them all on a flat line, do it, but this right here is a step down, right? You can see this storage unit is lower, and that shows in the foundation, and it also shows in the roof line the difference in how that happens. What I wanted to show you is, if you look out here in these new buildings that they're gonna build, come out here and see if we can get the camera on this. You can see these little stakes in the ground. These are the corners of the building, and you can see the stair step up in the dirt. Those stair step up in the dirt is where the new buildings are gonna be, and how they're gonna have these same little stair steps that you see in the buildings that are already here. Okay, so we're gonna have 1, 2, 3 small buildings about this size right here, about the same size. And then at the top, we're gonna have 1 building that runs all the way along the side. And then along the side over there, this is the neighboring property. These properties in the back where that yellow truck is and white truck, that's not my property. And then along the side over here, we're gonna have another building that runs all the way down. So a total of 5 additional buildings, okay? So again, that is phase 2 of this project, is building this out. I'll give you guys an update and show you around when this is completely done, but that's phase 2. Now let's talk about what phase 3 is and why I really bought this property. Okay, so let's take it back to the big building in the front, the retail building, 36,000 square feet, generating $10,000 a month, okay? That building, if I wanted to convert that into self-storage units, I already got a roof, I already got the foundations, I've already got everything done. I've already got air conditioning systems. In order to convert that to an actual self-storage facility, all I would have to do is buy the interior wall systems. You ever seen, like, they take an old Kmart or something like that and convert it into a self-storage facility? That is just called an interior build-out system, and those cost roughly $13 to $14 per square foot to install. Again, I've got 36,000 square feet, right? 36,000 square feet times $13, $14 a square foot comes out to, I'll do 13 times 36,000. Comes out to $468,000, okay? $468,000, I mean, it's cheap, right? Because think about this for a second. 36,000 square feet, and you've got to build hallways in there. So 36,000 square feet, you're gonna get a effective 75% utilization ratio, which means after you build in the hallways and everything, you'll have 36,000 total square feet of buildings times 75%. I'll get 27,000 square feet of rentable storage space, and at $15 a square foot a year is $405,000 a year. That building is currently generating $120,000 a year. Okay, so $405,000 minus $125,000, that's $285,000 additional of revenue that I could generate per year. Okay, so that's over $20,000 additional dollars a month that I could generate per year just to convert that. So, and I could build that out in almost 2 years, I would make back my money. If I do that and I have this self-storage back here that's generating the money it is, and I transfer or convert that to actual self-storage, this property is gonna be doing north of $60,000 a month, and at that point in time, will be worth almost $10 million. And do the math, if I'm all in right now on this property at $3.5 million, and I spend $500,000 to convert this, I'll be all in at $4 million on this storage facility, and it'll be worth $10 million. So that's why I bought this property, because of the reduction of risk of how I could phase this out and stage this out, because I could buy what's here and pretty much break even. If I started the construction, I would lose a little bit of money, but then I'd be able to convert and make a couple $1 million in equity, and then, you know, $10,000 a month of cash flow. And then if this phase does well, if I rent these units up quickly, it's a no-brainer for me to go and to convert that facility as soon as my tenants' leases expire, right? So I bought this property with those people having leases in place. I can't just say, hey, get out, you know, like I have to wait until their lease expires. Or I could say, you know, I could go to them and do what's called cash for keys, which is effectively, hey, you know, I would like to get you out of here. How does a $20,000 payment sound for you to move out? And $20,000 for me to pay them to move out and get to convert to storage, say, you know, 3 years sooner, that could be a win, right? So hope you guys enjoyed. If you did and you want to learn more about self-storage, then I actually have a new program coming out called the Self-Storage Success Blueprint. I want to invite you guys to check that out, description below. If you just want to learn other investing in general for real estate, subscribe to the channel.